Hey everyone, welcome back to another training video. This week we are talking about your bike position. Now, it's not super difficult to take a look at the top age groupers or even the top professionals and to try to set your bike up like them. But you will probably find that if you try to ride that position, it can be very uncomfortable. And so you probably will default back to riding more of an upright position on your base bars just because it's a little more comfortable and not choosing to ride in those aero bars. However, when you're racing, it only takes a few seconds of you coming up out of the aero bars to reposition, adjust yourself, or move your shoulders around, try to get loosened up to negate all of the aero benefits of that really expensive bike that you just bought, or those really nice wheels, or any of the other things that us triathletes like to buy to try to make us go a little bit faster. So being able to stay in the aero position in a nice, relaxed position is going to be the most important thing to help you go really fast on race day. Now, this kind of is where we get into bike fit, and bike fit is incredibly complicated, and I am in no way a bike fit professional. So for those of you that really want to get into this, I suggest contacting your local bike shop and doing a professional tri-fit with them, because that will be the best way to get this all figured out. For those of you that do want to DIY it, these are a couple suggestions that you can use to maybe help guide you as you try to fit your bike. The very first thing that you're going to want to look at is the saddle. As triathletes, we really want to be on a split nose saddle, and that's just a saddle that has a channel all the way down it to allow for us to sit on either side of the saddle. This is where our bone will be supported, and then we'll have a channel down the middle for the soft tissue, so we're not sitting on that soft tissue. That's going to be the most important thing. And if you get the saddle wrong, or you're not sitting on the saddle correctly, none of your bike fit is going to work. So this is the most important part. Once you've found a good saddle, you want to make sure that you're not sitting in a road bike position. We're not road cyclists, we're triathletes. So whereas a road cyclist would sit with a very neutral pelvis kind of on the back, triathletes want to rotate their pelvis forward and sit more on the nose. And again, that's why it's really important to have that split nose saddle. So we've got our split nose saddle, and we've rotated the pelvis forward a little bit to allow us to sit more on the nose. We're more supported directly under our body versus more behind us. Then from there, our spine is naturally going to want to fall forward into that aero position. And once you do that, you'll generally have to move the front end further away, which is pretty counterintuitive. A lot of people want to pull it back. And the reason for that is your spine has a certain amount of length. You have to allow for it. It's bone, it can't go anywhere. So if your front end is too close to you, then it's like, well, my elbows are here and my hip is here, so my spine has to kind of curve in between to kind of allow for that distance. And so you'll see a lot of people riding with this like humpback, and that can be because the front end is too close. So we rotate the pelvis forward, we flatten out our spine, and we just fall naturally into the elbow cups. And so they need to be a certain distance away from us so that my spine can lay flat. Once my spine is more neutral, my head and spine sort of line up much more naturally. So now, as I'm riding in that aero position, all I have to do is lift my eyes down the road, and I can see, and I'm in a nice neutral spine position. I'm no longer in this position on my spine, and now this position for my head, and I'm not trying to do a bunch of 90-degree bends with my spine and neck, which causes all sorts of problems. So getting that front end further away, letting the spine be more neutral, and then lining the head up with the spine so that everything is nice and relaxed. Then if you go to the front end of the bike, we want our elbows to be a supportive structure. So you want bone contact. So I fall into that elbow pad right on the bone, right on the elbow, and I just use the bone of my arm to support my torso. So don't do this on the road, but if you're on the trainer, you should actually be able to fall into your elbow pads and actually let go of the aero bars and feel like you could steer the bike with those elbows. You want to be very secure in that front end and not feel like you have too much pressure in your shoulders. And that comes from having the front end far enough away. Once you kind of get all that set up, you will find that you naturally want to drop the front end because it's just in a very relaxed position. So that's kind of the process that you want to go through. Like I said before, I am in no way a professional bike fitter, but there are people out there who are professional fitters and they will guide you through this whole process. So I strongly suggest reaching out to them if you really want to answer all these questions. But if you do decide you want to DIY it, these were a couple of tips to maybe help guide you along the way. So until next time, we'll see you later.